breaking news today in the NFL from Tom Pelissero and maybe others, maybe you. Prank call fallout. The NFL fined the Falcons $250,000 and defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 over the leak of the Shedeur Sanders phone number. What say you about that?
Yeah, I got the statement from the NFL too. However, the reporters who are on the NFL's payroll, I think, get those statements a little bit earlier than the rest of us do. But I think the NFL was in a tough spot here because on one hand, they had to do something. It was a bad look for everyone involved that Shedeur Sanders' phone number was available to Jeff Ulbrich. It was on an open iPad. His 21-year-old son saw it and took it down with the intent of making that prank call. I think they had to do something. But on the other hand, the NFL has responsibility here. And I already see at least one reporter who's on the NFL's payroll pushing the idea that, hey, these numbers are sent out confidentially and the team has to treat it confidentially. And there's no reason for the team to give this to the defensive coordinator. Not in this case, because I've seen the two communications that went out. The first one was the confidential email, and it wasn't an email, it was a memo with the numbers of the 16 players who were at the draft, 24 players who were participating virtually, and 5 other players who were part of the international program who were present in Green Bay. Had all their numbers. There was another email that went out later that same day that had one person's number, Shedeur Sanders. It had his new number, which apparently was the right number to get through to him when the prank call went.
Clearly.
That was an email, and I have this email. It was sent to the same list of recipients that get the daily transaction report that the NFL sends out to everyone. So pay no attention to whatever propaganda the NFL is going to put out there now through their in-house reporters. That email went directly to Jeff Ulbrich. That's how he got it. That's on the NFL. And at the end of the day, when the NFL is trying to figure out how do we prevent this in the future, there's one important way that you do it. You restrict it to a need-to-know range of people. Owner, GM, coach. No one else needs to have it. And you could argue that only one person per team needs to have the phone numbers of the prospects. That's what the NFL needs to do. They have culpability here, but I feel like they thought they had to do something. And some will suggest that maybe they even went a little easier on the Falcons than they otherwise would have, because Rich McKay, an executive with the Falcons, is the chairman of the competition committee. And whenever the Falcons get in trouble, people say, hey, did they get a slap on the wrist? When they had fake crowd noise and they got caught red-handed, did they get the punishment they should have gotten? When they tampered with Kirk Cousins last year and Darnell Mooney, frankly, and it was blatant, did they really get the punishment they should have gotten? And I think that's a fair question here, because I think having an executive from your team in an influential position at the league level has benefits like what we might have seen in the total magnitude of the punishment that was levied against the Falcons and Ulbrich.
This segment with Mike Florio is brought to you by AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Save on dental implants today. And Mike, I think the other part of this that is disturbing to me is that maybe it's not a surprise, but the fact that a 21-year-old felt emboldened enough to be able to do this and then thought that that was a good idea just makes me wonder, like, what are the discussions like when it comes to you and your dad, who's entitled to very private and confidential and protected NFL information?
Yeah, I mean, I think most reasonable children understand there are certain things that you don't mess with. Dad's or mom's work would be, I mean, there's not even a conversation to be had. You don't even have the devil on one shoulder, angel on the other. This is a case where the angel mops up the floor with the devil. You never even get down that road of whether or not you should mess with any of the information relevant to mom's or dad's job. And the question this raises for me, now, I know there are going to be people who think this is a reach. I don't think it is, because I think one of the NFL's biggest concerns needs to be safeguarding confidential information that could be used for gambling. And if a 21-year-old and his buddies think it would be funny to get Shedeur Sanders' number and prank call him, are there 21-year-olds out there who can get a little glimpse of who's really injured, who isn't injured, who's going to be featured this week in the offensive game plan, other inside information that they could use when they go to their DraftKings and FanDuel apps and make their bets. I don't think that's a stretch. And I've been banging the drum for 7 years now that the NFL needs to be far more concerned about protecting that kind of what they call in the stock market material non-public information. And we only know about this because they did the prank call.
And the video.
If others are getting this information and they're using it, and it's so far removed from any player or team or coach, it's not going to send up any red flags. How much inside information is being used by people the wrong way for gambling, and how much of it is coming from the confidential information that is made available to coaches, executives, and others?
I think the other thing, Mike, is the kid's not 12; he's 21. That's like people keep talking about him like they're infantilizing him. He's a 21-year-old. He's an adult. So like I just have a real problem with the fact that kids will be kids. He's an adult. You could say he's a college kid, whatever, but really he is an adult.
Oh, you're right, and it's fair game here. And look, Jeff Ulbricht's a football coach, and he kind of got an edge to him. And hey, I'm not one to say what's right or what's wrong when it comes to parenting. There's no manual, and if you think there is, you're wrong. But to not have this kid appropriately fearful of the hell that will rain down upon him if he messes with his dad's work-related information, that's astounding to me. It really is. And that just assumes that the story the Falcons gave us on Sunday is true. I don't know what really happened. The idea that there just happened to be an open iPad laying around. And also, I'm sure the folks at Microsoft that pay hundreds of millions per year for the sponsorship for the Surface to the league, they weren't thrilled that it was an open iPad that was mentioned in the statement. But it seems like you could make the argument that they came up with the most innocuous explanation possible, and that there could be more to how this kid got access to that email.
And does he realize how mean it was? And I'm like trying to put myself. I did a lot of dumb things when I was 21. I mean, I probably made some prank calls when I was 21 years old in the good old days when there wasn't caller ID and things like that. But
you're old.
Yeah, I am old. I am old. It's just mean, man. Like at the end of the day, this is like one of those I can't find the funny in it.
That's right. And look, I grew up in the days well before caller ID. And we only had 3 TV channels to entertain us. We had no video games, at least not until the late 70s when they came out with that crappy Atari home system that got old after about 20 minutes. We used to get together at a friend's house every Thursday night and make prank calls. We'd pull out the phone book back when they had phone books, and we'd randomly go through and we'd think, hey, what are we going to do on this one? It was like the Jerky Boys. And it was funny. But the difference here is, and when you see the videos of how some of these guys break down crying, I mean, this is the culmination of everything they've ever done athletically, everything they've worked for, and they've been waiting, and there's so much anxiety. I asked Aston Genty last week, as you enter draft week, I talked to him on Monday, like how much of you is, I'm going to savor this because I'm never going to be in this stage of my life ever again, and how much of it is, can we just get this over with? And to have a guy on the brink of thinking, this is finally over with, I've finally reached the finish line of this long journey, that takes what otherwise would be, haha, that's funny, and makes it extremely cruel to the individual who gets that call.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no way to look at this other than that was just bad all the way around. That's how I feel about it. There's no excuse for this ever happening. And I think you're right. The NFL could have gone even harder if it had wanted to.